It was a crisp autumn morning in New York City. The skyline shimmered as the first rays of sunlight reflected off the glass towers. Streets buzzed with the usual rhythm of taxis, commuters, and vendors setting up for the day. But something extraordinary was about to unfold. Something that would bring the city to a standstill. President Donald J. Trump had returned to his hometown, not as a businessman or TV personality, but as commander-in-chief. Alongside him, the U.S. military was preparing for one of the largest public demonstrations of unity and strength in modern history. The event was billed as a day of honor, a tribute to the men and women in uniform who had served in wars past and present. Yet for Trump, it was more than just ceremony. It was personal. Arrival at Ground Zero. Marine One descended into Lower Manhattan, its rotors stirring the autumn leaves into a whirlwind. Crowds had already gathered behind barricades, waving flags and holding banners. The Secret Service was on high alert, but the atmosphere was one of celebration. President Trump stepped out, greeted by thunderous applause. But what caught everyone's attention was the sea of uniforms that lined the streets: soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, standing shoulder to shoulder in immaculate formation. Their boots struck the pavement in perfect unison as the band struck up the Star-Spangled Banner. Trump paused at the memorial site of 9/11, bowing his head. For a moment, the city, famous for its noise, was silent. Even the traffic seemed to stop. A march through Manhattan. From Ground Zero, the president led a symbolic march uptown, flanked by generals and young cadets. Military vehicles rolled through the avenues, Humvees, armored personnel carriers, and even aerial flyovers that drew gasps from the crowd. The march wasn't about showing power alone. It was about reminding Americans that their strength came from unity. Families of soldiers walked alongside veterans in wheelchairs. Children waved flags from sidewalks, and strangers embraced as the sound of drums echoed off the skyscrapers. At Times Square, the iconic screens lit up with a message: "United we stand." The emotional moment. As the procession reached Central Park, Trump stopped suddenly. A young soldier, barely in his 20s, had stepped forward, carrying a folded American flag that had belonged to his father, a veteran who never returned from Iraq. With trembling hands, he offered it to the president. The crowd fell silent. Trump, usually known for his fiery speeches, said nothing at first. He took the flag, placed a hand over his heart, and embraced the soldier in front of thousands. The cameras captured it, the moment that humanized both the commander-in-chief and the military he commanded. A speech for the ages. On a grand stage in front of the Bethesda Fountain, Trump delivered his address. His voice carried through the park. This city has always stood tall. Through